once again to Art Attack, the Big Art Show. Do you want to see one of my all-time favourite art attacks? Forget piggy banks. This is the Art Attack Dinosaur Bank. Come and have a look at this. Blow up a balloon to roughly the same size as an Easter egg, but definitely smaller than your head. Then take 2 loo roll tubes, cut them in half, and tape them together so you have something that looks like that. And then tape them to one side of the balloon. So a bit of tape on there, onto the side of the balloon. And there you have the legs and the body of the dinosaur. And then take a felt tip pen and very carefully draw a rectangle on the top of a balloon. Now it needs to be about 1 centimetre by 4 centimetres. It doesn't have to be neat, and that will be the slot where your money goes later on. Then take some scrap paper that's roughly the same length as the balloon and crunch it up and bend it slightly. And you need to do 2 of those because we're going to tape one of them to one end of the balloon. Like that. When it stands still for the neck, you just need to bend it up. There it is. And then the other to the other end of the balloon. And bend that down for the tail. And the good thing about paper is that if your neck flops, just bend it up again because it's good stuff to model with. And there it is. And that's roughly the shape of your dinosaur. Now the good bit, the messy bit. Take some lengths of loo roll and start to wrap it around the dinosaur shape. Just wrap it all the way around, apart from the slot at the top. You'll see why in a minute. And then just slop on some PVA glue, mix 2 parts glue with 1 part water. And you've seen me do this before. Just slop the glue on, and what it does, it sort of disintegrates the tissue paper, or the loo paper, and binds it to the shape underneath, which is the shape of the dinosaur. And just keep slopping on the PVA and slopping on the loo paper, and you probably need 3 or 4 layers of loo paper. That's roughly equivalent to 1 whole loo roll's worth of paper. Slop on your PVA glue all over your dinosaur, apart from the slot, and when it's finished, it will look something like that. Look at that. And then take 2 small balls of scrap paper and just dip them into the glue, put them on the top of the head for eyes. There's one there, and one there, and then start to slop on some paint. Now, I'm using acrylic paint here, but you can use poster paint. Any type of paint you like. I find acrylic paint is best for it. I'm doing it in a sort of green and yellow blotch colour. And who's to say dinosaurs weren't that colour, eh? Experiment. Nobody really knows, do they? I'm just going over the whole of the dinosaur. You see there? There's even a slot at the top where I didn't put any paper before. So go over the whole of the dinosaur, apart from the eyes, and when it's finished, you'll have something that looks like that. And I didn't paint the eyes. In fact, I painted them white with a little black dot in the middle. I've covered the whole thing with another layer of PVA glue, which gives it this very sort of hard finish and a nice shiny finish. And there it is, and you're ready to pop your money in. And where does the money go? Well, it goes in the slot, but you have to pop the balloon first, through the slot. There we go. There it is. And you pop your money into the slot. And if you need to get your money out, just tip your dinosaur upside down, make a hole through one of his legs, get the money out, and then repair it using exactly the same process. Glue, tissue paper, and paint. And there it is, the Art Attack Dinosaur Bank. Try it yourself. And of course, you can experiment using different cut-out cardboard shapes and tape them to the balloon. And in fact, you could even invent your own dinosaur. An Art Attackosaurus. Go on then, have a go. A dinosaur bank. Right, plop those down there. Got that, got that, got that. I've been dying to try this one out on you all week. All you need is a photograph from a magazine or a poster of anyone you like, famous person, pop star, but the picture must be same size as your face and looking to the front. So okay, let's have a look at what we've got here then. Now, that's looking forward. Good picture, but it's too small. So we get rid of that. Bring that one in. Now that's a good size, same size as my face, but he's looking to one side. So that's no good. What about this poster? Well, that's perfect. It's just a bit bigger than my head, which is good, and it's looking to the front. So I'll use that one. So okay, when you've chosen your picture, what you need to do is you need to stick it onto some card. I'm going to do this using some of this sticky stuff. I'm just going to splash it on there. I'll show you what to do. You notice I'm just sticking the top half on. Let's see what happens. Then you take a pen and you draw right round the edge of the head, going all the way round the hairline there, right round the top, all the way round the head. Cut the ears off, and then you go across the eye, just across the bottom of the eye, across the bridge of the nose, again across the bottom of the eye as if you were drawing glasses on it. And back to the beginning. Then you draw circles around the pupils of the eye, the black bits in the middle. And then you cut all of that out, and you're left with something that looks like that. You notice I've even done the eyes. Then you turn it over, put the card on the back, take two lengths of string, roughly about 40 centimetres each. So just get tied up with the string. Put some sellotape. Put the sellotape onto the string there. Put it on there. And then it is ready. Are you ready? Here we go. Boom! Brilliant, isn't it, eh? What a weird effect. Now, the reason that this works is because it's a photograph and the colour of the skin blends in with my own skin. Now, if you think that is weird, just take a look at that. That is my own photograph. It looks very strange, doesn't it? Try it yourself. Why not give your mates a mask attack? Now, you like me, one of those terrible, untidy people who can never find where you've put things. What we need is the complete filing system. And here it is. Come and have a look at this. Take one of these cardboard envelope files that you can get from any stationery shop, or in fact you could use an old one, and just carefully prise apart the glued edges down the side. And there's your file. Now, if you're just going to make one file, you only need one of these. But if you're going to make a complete filing system, then keep this one as a template to draw around onto some other pieces of paper. Now, you can use any type of paper for this. Newspaper, scrap paper, wallpaper. It doesn't have to be good paper. And then take each file and decide what the file's going to be. Now, in this case, it's going to be a hobby file. And my hobby is sport. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some pictures that are torn out of magazines, just coloured pictures there, nice and shiny, of different sports. And I've torn them out in interesting shapes. You don't have to tell me, you can cut them out. I'm just going to paste them onto the cardboard, onto the file itself, using PVA glue. Now this, again, it's just the ordinary white school glue you get in the squidgy bottles. Now you probably notice here, I'm also pasting over the pictures. Well, that's all part of this technique. In fact, I think this technique is called decoupage, which is French for decoupage. And just keep building up your file, putting more pictures onto it, and just stick the pictures onto your file, front and back, both sides. And when you've completely covered it in PVA glue, leave it to dry overnight, and it should look something like that. Look at that. And you can see why I've pasted the glue over the pictures, because you've got this nice shiny finish where the PVA glue has gone hard. It's made it sort of really rugged and it's protected it nicely. So fold the file back into shape, and then you glue it down the original edges that were glued. Glue down there, leave that to dry, and when that's completely dry, you will have, there it is, a hobby file. You can just swap magazine pictures or press cuttings, have your favourite hobby inside your hobby file. Now, if it's going to be part of a complete file system, what you need to do is attach a coat hanger to the top flap. So just threading it on up to that crease there. I'll just stick a bit of tape on there just to show you how it's done. You can make more of a neat job out of it. So that's the first file. And then if you thread some string through the bottom of the file, because these files all have holes at the bottom. Just thread the string through, or you can use ribbon, which will tape it as well, and just tie it at the bottom. I'll just do a quick one to show you. Bring the next file in when you make that. In this case, it's a comic file. Look at that. Let's get the old comics in. I'm just going to thread that up through the string, there, like that, and just tape that again down the crease, bend it over, and there you have the second file in your system. And just keep building up your complete file system one after the other, and you can make up to 4 or 5 files. When it's finished, you'll have something that looks like that. Look at that. And we start up at the top here. There's the old comic file from the old comics. I like collecting old comics. Look at that. This is one of my favourite files. This is a food file for recipes. I was thinking of my stomach. Down here, we've got letter file for pen letters. And down there, a pop file. And right down there, at the bottom, where it deserves to go, the homework file. And just stick your file up on a hook in your bedroom, on the back of your door, or if you want to keep it as a secret filing system, keep it in your wardrobe, hang it up, and no one gets to look at it. Try it yourself. The complete filing system. I have discovered how to make ordinary drawing paper look like an ancient document, a bit like this one. And the secret is stock cubes. Now all you need is an ordinary sheet of paper and tear it all round the edges. Now you don't have to be neat, you can make it as ragged as you like, because the idea is to make it look as if the paper is really old. So there's just finish that one there. And then, the good bit, I love doing this, put some cracks in the paper. Have you ever seen those old parchments? They look as if they've been cracked through the ages. So there it is, just flick away, tear away, put some cracks in your paper. And lay it down, take your stock cube and crumble it into some warm water. There it is, you don't need much water, just a little saucerful here. And you only need 1 stock cube. And just mix it in so that it looks like a paste. And then just paste it on to your piece of paper. Now, you see all these finger marks that I'm creating here? Doesn't matter at all, because it all creates to the final finished effect of your document. Just smear it on, rub it in, right in the corners. You can even see those little blobs of stock cube that are on there. That doesn't matter either, because when they dry, they look like little bits of old parchment. There it is. Now you've got to do this on both sides, and then put it to one side to dry. And when it's dry, it looks something like this. Look at that. Already, it's 100 years old. Now what about the writing? Have you ever noticed the way the writing on those old documents, the first letter is always very fancy? Well, I've discovered the secret to that too. Bread. What you do is you cut a square of bread about 2 centimetres by 2 centimetres, and you get some poster paint. Now I've mixed this with a little bit of water, and you simply paint onto the bread. Again, this is very fun to do. It is. Get your brush stuck in there so that you brush the paint into the bread. There it is. And then I want to print into my document. Press the bread down, pull it away, and you get this sort of bobbly textured effect. And you put that to one side to dry, and it takes about 10 minutes to dry. When it's dry, it looks something like that. So okay, I'm going to put my first letter in there now. Now, have you ever noticed that those first letters, they're always really curvy? So I'm going to curl the top of my T, and the tail of my T, curve also. When you use the black felted pen, use one of these. These are my favourite pens, these, the old gold pen. Gives a great effect if you just put it right on the outside, on the edge there, of the black that you've done. It is. Just following the letter all the way round. Just go just smear that to the paper. And there it is, the first letter of your ancient document. Now all the rest of the letters, if you do a bit smaller with a smaller felted pen, and of course it depends on what you want to say. For instance, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. It is hereby declared that the owner of this ancient document is now entitled to double pocket money. Signed, get your mum or dad to sign that, a pocket money contract. For when it's someone's birthday, don't give them a present, hide the present, and give them a map to try and find the present. And there it is. X marks the spot, an ancient treasure map attack. Just watch this. Great effect, and you can do it as small as you like. Come and have a look at this. Now just take some of this ready mixed poster paint you get in a bottle and just squidge a little dollop out onto your paper. And get another colour, and go round it in a circle. It's blowing bubbles at me there. That's it. And then another colour, go round another circle. And another colour, and go round that again in a circle. You can use as many colours as you like actually. Then take one of these cocktail sticks or a straw, and this is the good bit. Start in the centre, just flick out, going right through all the circles, just flick really hard. There it is, slowly but surely, front of your eyes. It creates a sort of Mad Catherine wheel. Great effect, very easy to do, and you can do it as small as you like, or as big as you like. Paint a scene onto some wet paper, fold it over to create a reflection in water. Well, I'm going to try something a little bit different this time. I'm going to use dry paper to start with, and you just fold your paper in half and paint your scene on the top half of the paper using the fold as the bottom of your picture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a very simple mountain scene. And what's on the top of every mountain? Snow. So I'm just going to slosh some white paint on there. And I think the idea with this technique is to keep your paint nice and thick so that it doesn't dry too quickly. Yes, just the tops of the mountains. And some mountains in the distance. Remember, the old tip, colour fades when it gets into the distance. So don't do those mountains as brightly coloured. There's the snow. Now for the mountains themselves, let's drag bit of grey in here through the snow. There it is. So that's the dark side of the mountain. Just come around here, make it a little bit lighter where the sun is shining. And those mountains in the distance again, slightly lighter, a little less colour. Just put it down there. And now on the lake side, on the river side, whatever the water's going to be, I'm going to try that I really enjoy. It's called stippling. It's one of those techniques that actually does the work for you. If you get a stiff brush and you just stab it at the paper, what it does is it creates your bushes or your trees for you. A bit darker, a bit smaller on the lakeside, the distance. And on the other side, bigger trees. Again, use the stippling technique, just building up to bigger trees, brighter greens, You're in the foreground. Can't lean in. This is a great technique. It's sort of good fun to do. It is. And just to finish it off, I'm just going to do a silhouette of a couple of trees just down the bottom there. And now the good bit. Take some water and literally slosh it onto the bottom half of your folded paper. Just covering the whole of the bottom half with water. There it is. And then fold your picture over, press it into the water, and there you have a water reflection picture. Now, you know how I like sloshing colour around? Well, I've discovered some great ways of making some very colourful pictures by moving paint. Just squeeze some ready-mix poster paint into a dog that's just a bit bigger than a 2p piece. And then take another colour and just squeeze a ring like that around the first colour. And then take a third colour, squeeze another ring just on the outside of that. And then take another piece of paper, the same size as your first piece, only it can be a different colour, and carefully line it up and lay it on the top like that. Now, if you take your finger, you can just feel the paint switching around in between those two pieces of paper. Then lay your finger flat on the top piece and just move the paint inside the two pieces of paper. Just squeeze it along, and you can actually feel it switching under your fingers. Just move it all the way round like that. A sort of star shape. Just keep it moving. And then when you peel back the top piece, if you've used two different coloured pieces of paper, you get two very different pictures. Another way to move paint even further is to mix it with a little bit of water. Now again, I've got some ready-mixed poster paint here, and I've mixed it with just a little bit of water. But it's a case of experimenting to get the right consistency. And just pour out some blobs of the mixture onto some card or stiff paper. And make the blobs roughly about 6 centimetres apart from each other. And this in itself is great fun to do. Just pouring it out onto the card there. So just move those to one side, and when you're ready, grab hold of the card and move some paint. And just before it hits the bottom, move it to the side, and again over to the other side. And you just sort of judge when you want to turn the card. And there you have a fantastic motion picture. Lay it down flat to dry, and there it is. Try it yourself, move some paint, and give yourself an art attack. You can print using almost anything. For instance, I've got some string here that I've stuck to the back of some cardboard. I'm going to place that in the paint, switch it in, get paint all over it, and simply print it. That's my card. There it is. Creates that lovely texture effect. Texture of the string. Give it one more. I'm actually going to create a picture. What is it? Oh, my God. You can also print using bread. Now the good thing about bread is that you can cut it into almost any shape. You just got to be careful with it. And again, you get this lovely textured finish. Press on, make sure it prints. Lift it. There it is. Good one. Another thing you can print with is half a potato. And again, you can cut this into any shape you want. You can guess what this is. It's beginning to take shape. Another one of my favourite things for printing with is cardboard. The beauty about cardboard is, again, you can cut that into any shape. A bit like Batman's logo, that. But it's not. I'm going to do another two of them. Just paint it, press it, print it, again, you get those lovely texture marks there. You can feel the paint sucking underneath there, all scorchy. There's. I'm also going to print using the side of a piece of cardboard, so you get a straight edge. There. And the old favourite, sponge. You can cut it into any shape, small as you like, or as big as you like. Plop it on top, give it a good pressing. Just watch this Of course, it wouldn't be printing if I didn't get my hands dirty, would it? I'm stuck in there. Get the paint all over them. There we go. Right on the edge. Carefully lift it up. And there he is. Quick cartoon of an elephant. Starting with his trunk. His trunk here. A few creases in the trunk. Movement. What else has an elephant got? Well, it's got a huge body. Put that in there. Put his legs around there. Scuffing along. What else has he got? Well, elephant's got big ears. Tusk in there. Smile on it. I'm going to leave it like that. Keep it simple. That's a good tip out, you know. Next time you're drawing a cartoon or caricature of an animal, pick out one or two of their most obvious features, in other words, the thing they're most famous for, draw them first, and build your whole cartoon around those things. Let's see if it works for a whale. Okay, well, whenever I think of a whale, I just think of a huge body with a big smile on it. There is a big mouth and smiling. A tail. And then they've got a little eye, and they've always got these spurty, spouty bits at the top, so I'll put that in. There it is, again, just keep it very simple. Cartoon of a whale. What about a parrot? Well, to me, a parrot is all beak and feathers. So that's the beak in there. Some feathers in there like that. Gives it a wing, of course. Feathers on his breast. Claws. Then watch. He's got some tail feathers down there. There he is, a parrot. What about a lion? Well, to me, a lion is all mouth and mane. So let's do it like that. Mouth first. There. These lovely heart-shaped noses. How's his mane? Shallow mane. Got his legs in, his front legs. Yes. A lion. So what about a dog? Well, it all depends what type of dog that you've got. Take my mate Cosmo, for example. Hello, Cosmo. Now, first thing you notice about him is that he keeps walking across my drawing. Well, he's got loads of fur, hasn't he? So I'm going to draw that in. So loads of fur on the top there. And he's just got this little button nose. So I'll draw that in. And the rest of him is just loads of fur. Loads of fur on his face. And then his legs. Yes, loads of fur again. And on his feet, even more fur. And of course his tail. It never stops wagging. Loads of fur. And there he is. Good tip to remember that, you know. Next time you're drawing a caricature or a cartoon of an animal, pick out one or two of its most obvious features, put them on your cartoon first, and build the rest of your cartoon around them. What do you think, Cosmo? All you need is a sheet of paper, cut a hole in the middle, any shape or size that you like, and then take a photograph of a face from a magazine, or one of yourself if you've got one, and simply scan the photograph, and through the peephole, put the bit that you want to draw. Now I'm going to try an eye. Then you take this. This is the bit that you cut out from the peephole. Lie it right next to your peephole, and it's simply a case of copying exactly what you can see through the peephole onto your cut out piece of paper. I'm going to start here with the shape of the eye. And this is a brilliant method. It really works. It helps you draw those parts that you might find a bit difficult to do. And the reason it works is because it draws your attention right into the centre of what's on the peephole. So all you're seeing on the rest is the eye, and forgetting about the rest of the face. Of course, you don't have to do that. You don't have to have the eye. That is, put more flesh colour in there. I've roughly got the shape of the eye. It doesn't matter if you go over onto this part of the paper. There it is. There's the shape. Now I'm going to put this shading in. You can see this line down here. Just draw exactly what you see through the peephole. In fact, sometimes you even forget that you're drawing the part of the face. That's the whole idea. Just put that shading around there. Put the shadow there. So I'll put that in. Now, the eye itself, we'll do that again. Brown. Here's the arches. I'll start brown for there. Just around the edge. And around the top, they're a bit darker, so I'll press harder. I'm just drawing exactly what I can see through the peephole. Now, the good bit is look at the eye. So I'm just going to do it around the edge of the iris, make it nice and black. It's usually have a black ring around the edge, and then the colour of the iris itself. Just blue. Just drawing exactly what you can see through the peephole. And in the middle bit, which is the pupil, great tip this, always put those shadow bits right on the edge of the pupil, because it gives you drawing life. Here's a little bit of bloodshot colour in there. A little bit of shading just around the edge of the eye. There it is. Not a bad job, even though I say so myself. And of course, you can take away your peephole, put the picture over the top, just to see how good it really is. Try it yourself. Pick any part of the face, give yourself a peephole touch. Now look at this very simple sausage man that I've drawn here. He's standing still, putting two lines just round by his hand, and there you've got his hand moving. It looks like he's waving. Now the more lines you put in, the more it looks like your cartoon is actually moving. Look at that. In fact, if I even put some squiggly ones in, it looks like he's shaking like a leaf. Well, not only can you get movement into your cartoons, you can also get direction. Here's a runner. I'll put some movement marks in, just to show that he is moving. Now what about direction? Well, he's moving in this direction, so put some whiz marks in. Let's stick in some smoke there to show he's running very fast. Well, not only can you get direction and movement into your cartoons, you can also tell what they're thinking. Have a look at this fella here. Well, to me, he looks fairly angry. So I'll put some anger marks. What about this chap? Well, he looks to me like he's had a bright idea. Ding! What about this fella? He looks to me like he's very puzzled and hasn't got a clue. It's good, isn't it? Try it yourself. Even in your comic strips. It works brilliantly. Take a look at this footballer. There he is, whizzing down the wing there. The ball is moving very fast. And up at the other end of the pitch, the goalkeeper is waving to a girl in the crowd. This gives me a good idea, says the footballer. So what does he do? He boots the ball right to the other end of the pitch. There's the whiz marks. Now here's another one. Impact marks. Put some impact marks there. That's where he booted the ball. Look out behind you, shouts someone in the crowd to the goalkeeper. So he's moving his head. Which direction? And he's turning around very quickly. Too late. The ball whizzes up, hits him on the head, impact marks, and flies off in the other direction. Unfortunately, into the back of the goal. And there he is. He's lying down there. He's seeing stars. Meanwhile, the footballer is jumping for joy. Goal! He says. He's moving marks there. And the goalkeeper's teammates are absolutely furious. So much so. They've got steam. And there he is. The goalkeeper, yes, he's shaking like a leaf. And as for the girl in the crowd, she's now got her eye on the footballer. If you ask me, love is in the air. And what happened to the goalkeeper? Well, his teammates made him wash their hot, sweaty socks for the rest of the week. And if you ask me, he deserves it. Good day, try it yourself, special effects for your cartoons, and bring some light into them. Watch this. Ordinary stick of chalk, black sheet of paper, just make some strategic lines on it. And this is just ordinary school chalk. In the packets. Just making some lines here, pressing very hard. Get as much chalk onto the paper as I can. The circles here. Again, pressing hard. Get some chalk dust on. I think I need just a couple of dots here. And it should be ready. Okay, there it is. Just blow off the excess dust. And then smudge. Smudge in this direction to start with. Bring it down and up to meet it the other way. All the time just smudging from the end of my thumb. As simple as that. The other direction. Both directions if you like. Bit down here. Just slowly building up the picture. Just by smudging. In every direction here, I think. That's smudging right out. Not only is this very effective, it's also, as you can see, great fun to do. And you can always charge your picture up again. Here it is. And a little bit of red down there, just to finish the effect. And there, and there. One blow. And there it is, lorry in the rain. And where's the rain? Well, of course, it's on the road. Another good way to smudge is to cut out a shape from a sheet of cardboard, any shape you like, any size you like, and smudge off the edge. Try it yourself. A bit of chalk, a bit of paper, and give yourself a smudge attack. Take a sheet of drawing paper and fold it in half one way, and then in half again the other way. Just matching up the edges, creasing them like that. So you have a sort of greeting card. And then on the inside, draw a line down the middle, just to remind you which is the inside of the card, and you'll see why I'm doing that in a minute. Then open the card out and fold it again in half, keeping that inside line still on the inside. There we go. Half again. So that inside line is somewhere in that fold. And then mark a point halfway along that line, which is roughly there, would have to be spot on. And then draw a line that goes a quarter of a way into the card, like that, and then snip a slot in it, some scissors, like that. And then fold back that flap to there, and the opposite flap to there, and then fold them both back to the middle again, and then turn it over, and do the same on the other side. Fold that it well on every fold. Put the two of them back into the middle again. And then start the whole thing from the beginning. Remake your card with the inside line on the inside. So you then have something that looks like that. You've got your line with those two flaps in the middle. And then the tricky bit. Stick your finger inside the card and just try to poke your finger up through those two flaps, like that, and then just pull them back on themselves. And as you're pulling the flaps back, the card will start to close itself, and then trap the flaps in with your hand, close the card on them, and press really hard to crease those flaps. And you then have something that looks like that. And then just draw a picture of a face on the inside using that slot as the mouth. So there we go. See if you can guess what it is I'm drawing. Obviously, the old wide mouth frog. Just drawing it very roughly to start with, because you can paint it up neatly. You can rub out that line. When you've done that, you'll have something that looks like that. Look at that. A novelty greeting card. And let's face it, there's lots of different designs you could try. How about designing a Halloween card? Or a birthday card sings at you? I'm not going to sing that. Try it yourself. Design your own novelty greeting card. Just take a look at this beautiful calligraphy. This was done with black ink. This one was done with red poster paint, watered down. And look at that fabulous split letter effect. And you're not going to believe how I did those letters. Take a ruler and draw a line across a piece of paper, across the top of the ruler, and then another line across the bottom of the ruler, and then just move the ruler about 1.5 to 2 centimetres up and draw another line. And these are guidelines to practice small and taller letters. Now, I'm not going to use expensive calligraphy pens or brushes. I am going to use my favourite ice lolly. That's all you need, your favourite ice lolly. And the first thing to do is eat it. Save the stick and then carefully snap the stick in half. And there you have 2 calligraphy pens, a lolly lettering. Then take some ink, just ordinary fountain pen ink, already mixed poster paint that you mix with a lot of water so it's nice and runny. Let me just give you a tip. Hold the stick exactly like you were holding a fountain pen. Forget that it's a stick, hold it like a pen. Dip it into your ink, and then start to practice your lolly lettering. And another tip here, just keep all of the snapped end of your stick on the paper, and you get this fantastic thick, thin effect on your lettering. Look at that. With a bit of practice, you will discover all the different effects and stars that you can achieve with a lolly stick. And again, all the time, I'm just keeping the whole, this snapped end onto the paper to create thick, thin, thick again, and then I'll flick to thin. Look at that. Now sometimes when you snap a lolly stick, you get this splintered sort of jagged edge. Well, don't throw that away, because that can be used to good effect. Now just dip this into the ink, shake the excess off. So it's a smashing sort of split letter effect. So again, and another way to create split letter. You can take the lolly stick and just snip and notch into the middle of your stick. But be careful if you're using any scissors like this. Just got a little notch in the end there. Again, dip it into the ink, shake off the excess. You'll notice I have to keep dipping into the ink. That's what the old calligraphy artists do. Under your letter. There it goes. Just splits in the middle. If you snap a couple of sticks, you can make a whole set a calligraphy pen. Try it yourself. Great fun to do. A very cheeky artifact. Lolly lettering. Whatever you do, don't throw away your old comics. Come on, look at this. Take an envelope and carefully tear apart the glued joints. Open it out and then mark along the edges where the glue was. Just put that to one side. Bring in coloured double-page spread in your favourite comic. Put the envelope back on top and then just carefully use this as a pattern to draw down the edge onto your comic. Doesn't matter which side of the comic you draw on, we will be using the other side. Although you can use black and white side. I think you can do this on a newspaper, wallpaper, any type of paper. There it is, and you have that pattern. Cut that out, and you will have something that looks like that. And fold it back again to the original envelope, same places. Those edges, the reason for marking them is so I know which ones. Fold them over, stick them down, and there you have it. A multicoloured comic strip envelope. Looks brilliant, doesn't it? And let's face it, if that came through your letterbox, it would certainly give your eyeballs a shock. But I haven't finished yet. You can also make some great greetings cards to go inside the envelopes. Make a card out of thin card or thick paper and make it so it's the right size to go inside the envelope. And on the front, stick a picture from your comic, preferably a big picture so it covers almost the whole of the front of your card. And then take a piece of paper and draw on it 2 speech bubbles or balloons. Lovely, because you're going to cut them out so you have a shape something like that. Put some dab of glue on the back. Again, you can do it carefully then just to show you. You stick it in the front of your card, the speech bubble coming out of the card as well. And then you can take a black felt tip pen, just carefully go around the edges of your speech bubble. Just to give it a professional finish, go around the outside of your card. And use a ruler. Doesn't matter if the lines aren't that straight, because they're not usually that straight in comics. They're usually zigging. And use the speech bubble to write the message onto the card, on the dress, on your envelope. And there you have a multicoloured comic strip card and matching envelope. Now don't worry, I'm not practicing a new dance routine. I'm printing my own personalised stationery by putting my footprint onto envelopes. It's great fun to do, and when it's dry, you can just write right across the envelope and use it to send off your letters. Now, personalised stationery with your own design on it can cost anything up to £100 if you go to a printer's. So what I do is I get some cheap paper and envelopes and print my own. Now, of course, the writing paper that goes with those footprint envelopes has got to be hand printed. Now, to do this, I'm using ordinary poster paint. You can use powder paint. When it's dry, it looks something like this. You can write right across it, and I think it gives it a very professional finish. Another way to print your own stationery is to use cardboard cutouts. I've got a cardboard cutout here of a fish shape. I've got the initial. I've got a house, that's always a good one. I've got a heart and a straightforward square. Now what you need to do is get about 10 centimetres sellotape, fold it back on itself like that, sticky side out, slip it onto your finger, and you can then use it to pick up your cardboard shapes into the paint. And again, just picking up very carefully, you can use that to print with. And the good thing about cardboard print is it gives this brilliant textured finish. Look at that. And I've done all of these just by using cardboard. Of course, you can experiment. There's many different ways that you can do it. What about using the wrong end of felt tip pen? Right, let's try this out. Bit of red there. Into there. Into the envelope. And into the top corner. Switch that a bit there. And another colour, I think. Maybe green. Try print there. Print on the envelope. You can always go back for more paint if you need it, which I do. Corner. And then another technique is just using fingertips. Yellow, I think. 1, 2, 3. Just about there. Just switch that. There it is. And then thin black felt tip pen. Just draw some string. What's that? Okay, that's a little one in the distance. Up top there. And there you have your own personalised stationery with balloons blowing in the wind. So good luck, and I'll see you soon. Ta-ra!